All right, greetings everyone. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so for today's video, I'm going to be looking at important terms in social studies that you should know for the exam. If you would have been studying your past papers and studying your content, you would have realized that these words that I'm about to go through will be important. If you look at the past papers, they keep reoccurring, right? And if you don't know what the terms mean, then you might be in problems for that particular question. All right, so I'm using a textbook and I'm going to highlight certain words that you should know. All right, first word is alimony. Alimony. All right, so this is payment due to one partner by the other by court order following a divorce. So after a divorce, depending on who earns more or if one person is not earning at all, the wife might be ordered to pay the husband alimony. Yes, it works that way as well. Or the husband might be ordered to pay the wife alimony. This is money that comes out of one particular spouse's salary or earnings and give to the other person. That's what alimony is. All right. Next term is annulment. Annulment. This is the legal ending of a marriage. When you go to court, you go to divorce court, and you just say, all right, the marriage has ended. That is an annulment. Good. Next word is bicameral. Bicameral, right? This is dealing with government. So bicameral, if the legislature or parliament of a country has two bodies, just like the prefix bi means two, bicameral, right? Meaning that the legislature or parliament has two bodies. Good. Next word is bigamy. Bigamy. When someone marries a person when a previous marriage already exists and this is not within the law. So marrying two persons, it is illegal in a lot of countries. In the Caribbean, it is illegal. In North America, it is illegal. So if you are married and you don't get a divorce and you go ahead and get married again, right, it is illegal in a lot of countries. I know that you are aware that some countries you can marry more than one person, right? But that is not legal in the Caribbean. So if you do that, you'll be charged with bigamy or you'll be guilty of bigamy, right? Next word is bilateral agreement. An agreement between two parties. The prefix again, bi. Bilateral agreement, an agreement between two parties. Great. So if you and I agree that I'm going to be your tutor and I'm going to charge you 1,500 Jamaican dollars per hour, that is the agreement. So that would be a bilateral agreement between both of us. Good. Next one is a bill. A bill in social studies, this is a proposed law under consideration by the legislature. Good, so remember that the legislature has two chambers. You have the upper house, also called the Senate, and the lower house, also called the House of Representatives. So a bill is introduced. It is the first part of a law or a law to be. Good. Then now we have birth rate. Birth rate, the number of live births in a year per 1,000 in a population. That's the birth rate. Then we have brain drain. Brain drain, the loss of qualified and skilled personnel through emigration. So when the bright and skilled persons are leaving their countries to go somewhere else to live, we call that brain drain because the bright and skilled persons are leaving. Good. Now, next word is a budget. Budget, a government's plan on how to raise and spend revenue. So a budget is a plan that is drafted up to say that these are our expenses and these are our revenue. Revenue is money that is collected to the government. So they say how they actually spend every dollar, right? Good. Cabinet. The policy-making arm of government consisting of members of parliament appointed by the prime minister. So that's what the cabinet is, right? Policy-making arm of the government consisting of members of parliament appointed by the prime minister. And another name for the cabinet is the executive. Only government members can be a part of the cabinet. Next word, canvassing. To seek votes from the electorate, usually by visiting their homes or holding meetings in public. That's what canvassing is. When political leaders, sorry, not political leaders, but members of political parties, candidates especially, who are vying for a particular seat or constituency, they walk around and meet and greet people. That is what is called canvassing. Good. Then we have civil cases. Cases brought to court by an individual, group, or organization against another, but not prosecuted by the police, right? So it's not a major crime, like you know, kill nobody or you know, rape nobody or that. So it's civil cases. Good. Then we have civil servants, right? Government staff responsible for implementing and administering government policies. So civil servants are practically persons who work for the government. Good. Then the next word that we have is common market. Common market, right? The first stage towards a single market. So common market is an area where goods are traded. Simple. Common and market. The terms literally what both terms mean. You put it together, get the definition for common market. Good. Conservation, the safe and sustainable use of resources. Conserve, to save on or to protect. Good. Constituency, an area that contains the body of voters who elect a representative to parliament. So an area that is going to vote to elect the representative in parliament. That's the constituency. Good. All right, let's look now. A credit union, no, we don't have to do that. A debt rate, the number of deaths in a year per 1,000 in a population. So debt rate is the opposite of birth rate. If you were actually paying attention a while ago, then you would have noticed. All right, dependency ratio. The ratio of the number of dependent people in a society to the number of economically active people. So dependency ratio is the ratio of the amount of persons that actually depend on the government for social services. Understand? Depopulation, a long-term reduction in the numbers in a population. So when the population keeps on reducing and reducing or getting smaller and smaller, we call that depopulation. Very good. Developed country, a country with a high level of economic development and a standard of living. So first world countries are usually developed countries like the United States of America, Canada, England, right? Those are developed countries. All right, next word, divorce. This is the process of legally ending a marriage. Good. Then now we have electorate. All the persons eligible to vote in an election. So the electorate are all the registered voters. Good. Emigration, that's E-M-I-G-R-A-T-I-O-N, emigration. People leaving a country to live elsewhere. So if, for example, you are living in Jamaica, right, and your mother is living in the United States of America and she files for you, while you are at the Norman Manley International Airport and is about to leave, then you become an emigrant, that is EMI, because you're about to leave your country to go somewhere else to live. Emigration. Now, let's look at the word endogamy. Endogamy, to choose a partner from one's own ethnic group, tribe, religion, or class. So that's self-explanatory. Good. Exogamy, to choose a partner who is not of one's own ethnic group, tribe, religion, or class. So X, so outside of your tribe, religion, group, or class. Good. Fertility rate, the average number of children born to each woman in a population during her lifetime. So fertility, the average number of children born to each woman in a population during her lifetime. Easy. Floating voters. These voters are not aligned to a political party. So these voters vote based on issues or what they like or who piques their interest best. So they are not aligned to any political party. So they're not a die-hearted person to say, I am going to vote for this party no matter what. This person constantly changes who they vote for. So that is who a floating voter is. Good. We have now franchise. This is the right to vote in an election. Good. That's easy. Generation gap. Generation gap is the divergent views held by parents and children concerning matters of everyday life. So parents and children have different views concerning everyday matters. For example, if a child said a child wants to go out with their friends, right? And the mother said, coming back by 10 o'clock. right? The child might be saying like, mommy, 10 o'clock is too early, but mommy might be saying like, look, your time is too serious and anything can happen. But you know, as a youngster, 10 o'clock probably early because anywhere you're probably going, it just get nice at 10 o'clock. You understand? So you and your parent or parents having a different view concerning that particular matter. So that is an example of what the generation gap is. Now, next word, gerrymandering. Gerrymandering. Unfairly manipulating the boundaries of a constituency in order to secure a disproportionate influence for a particular political party. So gerrymandering is changing up political borders. Remember that each constituency has its own border. So sometimes what political representatives would do is that they go in and they change up the border to say, this constituency is probably too small or this one is too large. And they keep the part that they know that is loyal to them to ensure that whenever another election is called, they can win because they have a lot of supporters there. And it is unethical. Good. Now let's look at what globalization is, right? We will see this coming up a lot in terms of regional integration. So the process of countries coming together through communications, finance, and commerce, and the unification of the world's economic order. So globalization is an opening up of the world market. So you can stay in the Caribbean and order something in China without actually physically going into China to actually go there and buy. You can trade with China and stay in your country. Understand? Globalization. Now, let's look at the host country. Host country, a country to which people are coming to as tourists or visitors, or even as migrants. So the host country is where you are going to visit or to live, right? Human resource. These are the strengths, creativity, and mental abilities of the population. So human resource is the skills and talents of the people, what the people can do. That is human resource. Good. Hung parliament. When no major political party has an absolute majority of seats in the parliament. So for example, if there's an election and we have two political parties and one political party wins 30 seats, another wins 30 seats. That's an example of a hung parliament. So there's no clear outright majority because there would have been a tie. Hung parliament. Immigration, this is the one with I now. Immigration, and how I used to distinguish between EMI, which is E, and I, immigration, is that EMI, that's the E, you're leaving. IMI, you're coming in. So immigration, people moving to live within a country. So let me tell you the difference between immigration and immigration. So another example. So for example, you're leaving from Guyana, going to New York to live because your father filed for you. While you're at Guyana's International Airport, I don't remember what the name of it is. When you're at the airport in your country that you're born and growing, you're leaving from, you will become an emigrant, that is EMI. So when you reach a New York now, because New York is your new place to live, you become an immigrant, which is I, because you're going to New York, you reach a New York now to live. I hope I made it a little bit clearer for you. Incest, this is sexual intercourse between members of your own family. So cousin and cousin having sex, or brothers and sisters. Right, that's an example of incest. Good. Infant mortality rate. Number of deaths of infants under 1 year of age for every 1,000 live births. That's what infant mortality rate is. Now, infrastructure. Permanent installations that support a larger whole or organization like roads, schools, hospitals, clinics. Those are examples of infrastructure. Inheritance now. Money or property that passes to a person's successor after their death. So a person leaves a will, and when they die, whatever property or whatever they own goes to the person that it was dedicated in their will. That kind of property or assets now becomes the live person's inheritance. Good. Next word is judicial. This is done by the courts of law. Judicial, judiciary deals with the courts. Good. Justice of the peace, A lay magistrate appointed to keep the peace and to mediate in some cases to avoid them going to court. So that's what the justice of the peace is. Some justice of the peace presides over like the petty sessions court. So like if a man jump over here and thief and steal, or I keep using Jamaican Creole and I'm remembering that not all my subscribers are Jamaican. Let me say that again. So for example, a man scales your fence, comes over your yard and steals your hand of banana, right? You probably go to the petty sessions court for something like that, which is really petty and small. Good. Kinship, blood relations within a family. Labor force, the number of people of working age in a population. So once you are of working age, whether you're employed or unemployed, you become a part of the labor force. Good. Laissez-faire, non-interference with individual actions. So persons are able to do what they want to do freely. Laissez-faire. Legal separation, separation of a married couple by court order. This is not a divorce. They have not been divorced, but they have decided that, look here, they can't deal with each other anymore. So they're legally separated. So in case one spouse does something, the other spouse will not be responsible. Legislative, related to the enacting of laws. Legislative, legislature. Liable, a false written report published in order to damage a person's reputation. Life expectancy, the number of years a person of a given age can expect to live. All right? These are a lot of terms, but you just need to spend the time to go over them over and over again until you get them. So you need to understand what all of them mean. That would be my advice. Learn them. It's not hard. Just study them. Watch this video as much as possible and you will get them. Or you can just Google the terms for yourselves. Right? I've said all the terms. Google them. Google them until you learn them. A marginal seat, a constituency where a member of parliament only has a small minority and may therefore lose their seat in an election. So this is not a safe seat for any political party. So the representatives, won the seat by a small amount. So for example, there's an election between John Brown and Mary Tom, right? John Brown won by 500 votes. Right, so we know that that is a marginal seat, so it's not no great majority. So the seat can go either way in the next election. Marriage. This is the lawfully recognized union between a man and a woman. Good. Now we're going to get into some kinship terms. All the kinship terms. Matriarchal, matrifocal, matrilocal, matrilineal. Once you see M, you know that it is relating to the female or the mother, right? Same thing for the kinship terms that relates to the males. Once you see P, it is relating to the man. Good? So patrilineal, patrifocal, patriarchal, it relates to the man. All right? You have that down pat. So matriarchal, where the mother or grandmother is the head or authority figure. Matrifocal, family patterns where the mother has responsibility. Matrilocal, when a couple goes to live with the wife's parents. Matrilineal, where rights, duties, and responsibilities follow the mother's lineage. So once you see matrilineal line there, you know it's lineage. Local, once you see local, matrilocal, patrilocal, sorry, it is dealing with residents. Good? Now, migration, this is a movement of people from one place to another in order to settle or to live. That's what migration is. Monarch, sovereign or supreme ruler with a title such as a king or a queen. That's what monarch is. Now, monetary policy. Policies to control the supply of money in a country with a view to managing inflation or economic growth. Good? Monogamy. This is a legal marriage between a man and a woman. One man, one woman. That is monogamy. Mores, a form of norm concerning serious matters and reflecting a society's moral values. So mores are more serious than norms and usually are part of the law, or you should not kill. So that's a more, and it is very serious. So if you kill somebody, you know you're going to be in big trouble. with the law, right? A multilateral agreement now, an agreement between a number of parties, more than two, several, that we call a multilateral agreement. Good. Natural increase. When the number of births is greater than the number of deaths in a year. So once the number of births is greater than the number of deaths, that difference is the natural increase. So if we have 30,000 births in a year and 15,000 deaths, the natural increase is going to be correct, 15,000, because you minus the amount of deaths from the amount of births, then you have a natural increase, right? A natural resource, a resource from nature, like water, land, trees. Good. Near-local, when a couple establish their own residence. So they're neither matrifocal, they're neither matrilocal or patrilocal, they're near-local, so they live on their own. The couple lives on their own. Good. Net migration now is the difference between immigration and emigration. That is the net migration. So if we have more persons immigrating than those who are emigrating, remember that emigrating is when you're leaving, immigrating is when you're coming into a country to live. Difference between those two, net migration. Non-renewable resource. A non-renewable resource is a resource of which there are finite supplies that will never be replaced. So an example of a non-renewable resource is that when it is used up, that's the end of it and it cannot be replenished. For example, like bauxite, petroleum, gold, diamonds. Good. Norms now are generally accepted unwritten rules that help to regulate behavior within a society. For example, when you're in your family, your mother don't have a rule book or a rule or rules on a piece of paper that you put on the fridge that you must follow. You know that you must say good morning, good afternoon, you know those things, right? You know that you should respect your parents and they don't tell you how, you just know. So those are unwritten rules. Good. Patriarchal now. Let's look at what relates to the man. Patriarchal, where the father or grandfather is the head authority in the family. Patrifocal, family patterns where the father has responsibility. Patrilineal, where rights, duties, and responsibility follow the father's lineage. Patrilocal, when a couple go to live with the husband's parents. Peer group, a group of people of a similar age, social status, experiences, interests, and values. So peer groups are usually people within the same age, right? Peer pressure, the influence of a peer group, the influence a peer group places on an individual to conform to the values and behaviors of the group. Good. Political party, a political organization that seeks to further political ideology and to influence government's policies by having party members elected to political office, ultimately by forming a government. Pollution, materials that contaminate and degrade the environment. Polyandry, where a woman has more than one husband. Polyandry, a woman has more than one husband. Polygamy, where a person has more than one wife or husband at the same time. Polygyny, where a man has more than one wife. So polygyny, man having more than one wife. Polyandry, woman having more than one husband. Good. Population, the total number of people living in a given area. That's what the population is. Population census, this is an official count of the entire population. Population density now, the average number of persons living in a particular area at a particular time. So you can say there are 16 persons living per kilometer square. That's population density. Good. Population distribution. This is the degree of concentration of people living in a, population distribution, the way in which a population is spread out. Distribute, right. Portfolio, this is a special responsibility in Parliament that is given to a minister. So a minister has a specific responsibility called a portfolio. Then now let's look at the principle of collective responsibility. In a government where the whole cabinet takes responsibility for decisions made, so collective responsibility, the cabinet has to openly or in the public support any decision. Cabinet members have to support any decision that is made by cabinet because it was a collective responsibility. It was a collective decision, sorry. So no one person from the cabinet should not come out and speak and say, I didn't agree to that particular policy. Remember that they are all government members, so they should support each other whether they disagree privately or not. Good? Let's look now at the public sector. Businesses and services operated by the government. Good? Referendum. A chance for all eligible people to vote on a particular issue. So certain things that needed to be done, the government can't necessarily get up and do it like that. What many governments do is they call what we have here a referendum and put it to the people so the people vote yes or no on the issue. For example, I think in the 60s when there was the West Indies Federation, right? Jamaica thought that the federation was not beneficial to them and they wanted to leave. So the government put it to the people in the form of a referendum and all eligible voters voted to leave the West Indies Federation. So Jamaica pulled out of the West Indies Federation and it failed. Understand? A renewable resource now, a resource that naturally replaces itself over a period of time. So it cannot be used up. So things like water, right, can be replaced when we have rainfall. Let me not say it cannot be used up because that's probably not a good term, but it can be replaced, right, after it has been used up. So it can be replenished. Good, so like water, trees, because even if you cut down trees, you can always replant. Understand? Sunshine, that's a renewable resource because every day the sun rises. Understand? Now, let's look at safe seat. This is in an election, a constituency where a sitting member of parliament has a large majority. So if a member wins a seat by 3,000 votes, 5,000 votes, 10,000 votes, that's a safe seat. Good. Let's look at separation of powers now, where legal, executive, and judicial powers are given to different branches of government. So under constitutional monarchy that most of us uses, most Caribbean people uses, even same thing with republics. So like Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, right? Different arms are responsible for carrying out different functions of the government because we don't want one arm carrying out all the functions. So we have the legislature who deals with making laws, amending laws, and getting rid of old laws. Then we have the executive that deals with policy. Then we have the judiciary that interprets the law. You can imagine if the legislature made the law, interpret the laws, and also say policy, then none of those politicians wouldn't be able to go to prison. Because we have separation of powers, nobody is bigger than the law. Everybody is subjected to the law, right? Sibling now is a brother or sister. Good. Let's look now at the next term. Sustainable development, developing a country's economy, industries, infrastructure, and services in a manner that means they will last over a long period of time without rapidly depleting the necessary resources. So sustainable development, ensuring that whatsoever is being developed can be left for the next generation and the next generation to be used. Trade liberalization now, trade policies that allow for trade across national boundaries without government interference. So that is a policy of CARICOM and the CSME. Trade liberalization, freedom or free movement of goods and services without restrictions. Understand? An underdeveloped country now, a country not developed to its full potential. And we have some examples. I don't want to name any names because I don't want persons from those countries to feel any kind of way. Now, underemployment, employment that does not use the skills and abilities to the full, or that does not keep a person fully occupied. So if you are working below what you are qualified for, then you are underemployed. So for example, a trained teacher working as a gas pump attendant, that is an example of underemployment. Unemployable, a person who is not suitable for employment. So you don't possess the requisite skills or qualifications to be employed. Unemployment, you're a part of the labor force, but you don't have any job at the moment. Good. Unicameral now, uni there, meaning one, uni, one. So that's a parliament with only one house, unicameral. Bicameral is a parliament with two houses. Good. Urbanization now, the increase in the number of people living in cities. So when people leave the rural areas, come to the urban areas or the cities and towns to live, that's an example of urbanization. Universal adult suffrage, where all competent adult persons have a right to vote. A will, final term, a will, a document that sets out our person's property and wealth, is to be distributed after their death. So it's a piece of paper where a person write down who gets what in the event that they die. That's an example of a will. So all right, guys, thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with your friends. All right, remember to also subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Curry Fences. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you. Good